How's it going, boys? Johnny Superbman here, and it's finally time for us to go into the NHL 13 full review. I know you guys have been waiting for this for some time now, and I do know that NHL 14 is right around the corner, but that's the whole point. This is a full, in-depth review of the game and its life cycle. This is not one of those reviews that come out in the first week of the game. That's very safe, very brief, and very vague, just trying to get a review out there. No, this comes from somebody who knows what they're talking about. And going back to September of 2012, there's been no other game that I've played more than NHL 13. I also have a deep history with the franchise. Going back to the year 2000, I've owned and played a lot of every single edition in the NHL franchise. Sure, I played some games in the mid-90s, but going back to the year 2000 to 2013 now, I've owned and played every single one of those games. So this is coming from somebody who's played the history of the franchise, who wants to continue playing in the future of the franchise, and just wants it to be the best game possible, okay? So, let's see if NHL 13 was a great addition in the NHL franchise or just another $60 roster update. So let's start this review by going over what this game was promoted as being. Making the jump from NHL 12 to NHL 13, EA Sports describes its game as, quote, featuring the biggest innovation for the franchise in 6 years. NHL 13 will deliver a revamped gameplay experience that accurately captures the speed, creativity, and strategy of today's NHL, headlined by all-new True Performance Skating and supported by EA Sports Hockey IQ. NHL 13 will also deliver new experiences that connect hockey fans to their friends and the real world of hockey with the all-new GM Connected and NHL Moments live game modes. With core gameplay innovation, connected experiences, and the deepest feature set ever in an EA Sports NHL title, NHL 13 is truly the definitive hockey experience. So clearly by this description, NHL 13 was all about GM Connected, EA Sports Hockey IQ, and the new skating engine. So let's start with those three. The new skating engine is easily the most important of these new features, as it directly influences all forms of gameplay. Whether it be a shootout, Hockey Ultimate Team, ESHL, or an online versus game, the new skating engine has changed the way players play this game. And EA Sports would describe its new skating engine as, quote, all new True Performance Skating. Driven by real-world physics and more than 1,000 new gameplay animations, True Performance Skating authentically replicates the explosiveness, momentum, and top-end speed of today's NHL players, adding a whole new layer of creativity for players to discover on the ice combined with control offered by the skill stick finally gives gamers access to the entire tool set of an NHL player at their fingertips. Now, when they say that the new skating engine adds in a whole new layer of creativity for players, they are 100% right. This is a step in the right direction. It is 100 times better than the skating engine in NHL 12. It's a little bit tough to get used to at first, but once you do, now skating is a weapon in itself. Speed and using the new 45-degree cuts is so fun. I can't tell you how many times I've gone end-to-end, not using any loose puck dekes, not using the right stick to try and shield the puck, just using speed and 45-degree cuts to manipulate my opponent, to make them think I'm going to the right and then quickly explode to the left. So the new skating engine is definitely a step in the right direction, and it does add a whole new layer of creativity. But with the new skating engine does come a few little bugs and glitches that I wish would be improved on going forward. And one example would be the awkward turn. Take a look at this play right here. I'll slow it down for you guys. Our defenseman picks up the loose puck in the slot, and he's got all the time and all the space to make a play. Now, he's pushing to the right to go to the boards and to see if that right winger is available. But automatically, he gets put into an awkward turn. Watch this. You see how he turns all the way around unnecessarily instead of just dropping back his right shoulder and skating towards the right boards? You can't control that. Now, in that situation, it's not a problem because he doesn't have any skaters around him. But watch this situation. Same thing, but in the offensive zone. This skater right here, he could easily turn around on his backhand and be in a situation where he could pass it or backhand it on the net. But because it automatically makes you turn awkwardly, he turns to the right, he presents the puck to everyone there, and he loses it. He doesn't get the shot on the net. Now, I wish if you could control this, it wouldn't be a problem, but the game automatically makes this decision for you. So sometimes you just can't get going. It feels like you're stuck in quicksand because of the awkward turn, and I'd like to see this fixed going forward. Another thing lacking with the new skating engine is the in-game tutorial. With the monumental change to the way that we skate in the new NHL game, we need a tutorial that educates us on how to master this new system, especially for the newer players. And the tutorial that's in the game is very basic. It doesn't even tell you that there's 4 45-degree cuts, 2 on each side. The best tutorials for this game are found on other websites, and that's a huge problem. And the in-game tutorial, it's not even on the main menu screen. It's the very last option on the second menu screen. That's a problem, EA Sports. When you have social media sharing as a button that never goes away on the first main menu, and your tutorial is very basic, does not educate everyone on how to play your game, and it's the very last option, we got priorities in the wrong places here. We need to have the best tutorials on the main screens as soon as you start up the game so that we can get these players who are new to the game loving it, not being frustrated because they're getting destroyed in every game mode that they play because they're new to the system. And lastly, for the new skating engine is something that I'd like to see modified for the future. But do you guys remember going back to NHL 12 how you could check the boards? If accidentally you were chasing down a defender, you missed him and you're holding down the body check button and you slammed into the boards, it would give you an animation and your guy might even get injured. I'd like to see this implemented with the new skating engine. Because of the new momentum and explosiveness, if I'm chasing down a defender and he's quicker, he makes that turn and I'm turning and I go into the boards, I want to see an animation. I want to see where I hit the boards and I slow down. What you have in NHL 13 is you bounce off the boards. You don't lose any speed. So again, going forward, this is nitpicking. I know it's a new skating engine, but going forward, I would like to see a little bit of NHL 12 combined with NHL 13, whereas if you turn into the boards, you check the boards and you slow down. Next on the list of new features was the highly anticipated EA Sports Hockey IQ, which was described by EA Sports as being, quote, a completely overhauled AI system. Players are now fully aware of every other player on the ice, resulting in quicker, smarter, and more true-to-life decision-making. EA Sports Hockey IQ also delivers the deepest and most customizable set of real-world hockey systems and strategies ever for the franchise. Okay, so let's break apart EA Sports Hockey IQ, and we'll start with the completely overhauled AI system. Now, when it comes to NHL 12 to NHL 13, the loose puck dekes, the AI have been completely overhauled. Yes, they have. In NHL 12, look at some examples here, the AI would be completely fooled every time you pulled off any one of the loose puck dekes, whether it be a one-handed windmill, a regular windmill, the drag through deke, the deep drag, every single one of them would slightly freeze the computers for a split second, and the only way that they could stop it is if the puck hit their skates or hit their stick, okay? But if you pulled off one of these loose puck dekes right at the blue line off a rush, you could pretty much guarantee yourself a backhand forehand or a forehand backhand goal if it was a computer goalie. But in NHL 13, the loose puck dekes have been upgraded, okay? Look here. Look how the AI handles a loose puck deke. They don't get frozen like they did in NHL 12. They keep their eye on the puck or they'll take the body. So, they have been completely overhauled when it comes to the loose puck dekes, but as far as I'm concerned, that's where the overhaul stops. So let's move on to the next part of that description for EA Hockey IQ, which is, quote, players are now fully aware of every other player on the ice, resulting in quicker, smarter, and more true-to-life decision-making. Now, in my opinion, this is really stretching, just because I have plenty of video examples of the AI doing the exact opposite. And here's one right here. Have you guys ever had a penalty at the end of the game when you're trailing by 1, you need to tie the game up, but every time your computer AI gets the puck, he ends up just slapping it down the ice or clearing the zone, not trying to maintain possession, trying to move it up the ice, trying to score a goal, trying to tie the game up? This is not true to life decision making right here. How about another example? Have you guys ever heard of horizontal hockey? I've seen this now for the last few years, where the computer AI, they move it up the ice, but they can't move into the zone, so instead of dumping it, they end up making 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 horizontal passes in the neutral zone. Horizontal hockey. This is not quicker, smarter decision making right here, okay? Plenty of other examples. I mean, computer AI board playing themselves, computer goalie AI throwing it right to the other team, point guy always shooting it, and last but not least, look at this video example right here. This is one of those live moments. I'm the Toronto Maple Leafs. I got the lead right at the end of the game, and the Montreal Canadiens, they don't attack me whatsoever. What's the point of trapping right here? You're losing. You have to forecheck. This is not quicker, smarter, and more true-to-life decision-making. Yes, the LB or L1 deeks have been completely overhauled, but everything else, in my opinion, has stayed the same from NHL 12. When it comes to the EA Sports Hockey IQ, it's not that the AI is going to be playing the game differently. That's what I thought when I read completely overhauled AI system. It's all about formations. That's what the EA Sports Hockey IQ is about. That's all it is, formations. Away from the puck, the computer AI is now going to be acting differently in this game than they were in NHL 12. And they are. You have plenty of new formations that you can implement when you're playing the game. The problem is that the formations are pretty much useless just because the computer AI does not master the new skating engine, and for the most part they're usually flat-footed. Hockey Ultimate Team and online versus games, it's all about beating the computer AI to the outside, backhand, forehand, or cross crease, or short side goal, okay? And here's a video example right here. Watch these two plays. First, the Montreal Canadiens, they're in a full forecheck. The hardest part should be trying to get out of our own zone. Now, it's not a problem. 3-on-2 rush, we get around their defenders, 2-on-0 cross crease. Now, you can understand that because they had the full forecheck on. But now watch this play. Opposite, they're in a trap, full defensive mode, and I can still do the exact same thing. Speed to the outside, you get the 2-on-0 cross crease. Alright, one play, full forecheck, another play, full trap, same result. That's why the EA Sports Hockey IQ is useless in this game, because the formations are useless, because the computer AI does not know how to handle and has not mastered the new skating engine. Next on the list of new features was the all-new GM Connected, which got me real excited about NHL 13. I mean, I'm a big-time GM mode player, and when I learned that I could do an online GM mode with my friends for multiple years and play like a 6v6 ESHL style game, I was sold right there. That is a new game mode that is bigger than Hockey Ultimate Team, bigger than online versus, maybe even bigger than ESHL, okay? This is a legitimate game mode. This is not some throwaway game mode like the Winter Classic or NHL 94 mode. I mean, I was prepared to lose sleep over GM Connected, okay? And EA Sports described GM Connected as all new GM Connected. The franchise's most popular game mode goes Connected, allowing gamers to manage, play, or coach with and against friends in their own 30-team human control league. I mean, unbelievable. That is the future of sports gaming right then and there. And if done right, it would be a great idea, but that's the word that I gotta stress right there. If done right, okay? So before we get into that, visually it looks very engaging. If you compare GM Connected to GM mode, GM Connected blows it out of the water, and I would like to see GM mode in the future look a lot more like GM Connected. But after that, the problems really do arise with GM Connected. And, you know, technically the game mode does work. You can play, and I know people do play, but this is coming from someone who wanted to play this game mode. It's unplayable, okay? And again, I really wanted to play GM Connected. I tried it, but it's just unplayable. Long loading times for the most basic things, like looking at players' stats, okay? That's the whole point of being a GM. Going around, looking at stats, looking at which players are doing good this year, which players have done good in the history, and you can't do that without incurring 5, 10, 15, sometimes even 20 seconds of loading screens, okay? I mean, if you play GM Connected for like an hour, you're going to be watching loading screens for a good 10-15 minutes. And for the year 2012, when this game was released, my standards they're just simply higher, okay? I mean, again, a great idea if done right, but for anyone who's tried GM Connected, you know what I'm talking about. The loading times for the simplest things are way too crazy, and the sim time when you're trying to sim week to week or 2 weeks or 3 days, whatever you set it to, it's not horrible, but it's certainly not cutting edge. So once again, GM Connected, 100% great idea. I hope this is fixed in the future, but we really need to work on those loading times because this is the year 2012, now going on to 2013. So now let's move on to some of the core game modes in NHL 13. And up first, we got EA Sports' favorite game mode, Hockey Ultimate Team. Now, some of the good things about Hockey Ultimate Team is that it does receive a lot of attention from EA Sports. You're never going to go a week or two without getting a new Mega Pack deal or some sort of ×2 pucks going on. So if you're a Hockey Ultimate Team player, it does feel like it's a very fresh game mode every week or two. So that is a positive. Visually, it's very engaging. I love the way Hockey Ultimate Team looks. I love how when I go to edit my lines, I don't just get a bunch of player names like his first and last name like you would in GM mode. I love how you get the player portraits, and when you go and take a look at another team, another player's team, maybe your friend's team, you get to look at the portraits as well. So visually, Hockey Ultimate Team looks great. I love the idea for the daily rewards to reward the veteran players, the hardcore players who always play Hockey Ultimate Team every day. So good idea with the daily rewards. I love how Hockey Ultimate Team provides its own tutorial on how to work the menu screens. You guys heard me barking earlier about the 45-degree cuts not having an in-game tutorial. Hockey Ultimate Team does provide a tutorial, so bravo for that. Stat tracking, if you want to track some stats for your players or players on other teams, it's very easy to do. And the best thing for Hockey Ultimate Team, in my opinion, is the search criteria tool. If you say only have a certain amount of pucks, say 12,000 pucks, and you're looking for a new second line center, you can go to that search criteria, put in the max amount of pucks at 11,500, right? And every player that pops up will be a player that you can afford. So the search criteria tool with all the little specifications that you can use, brilliant as well. The search criteria tool does work. And you know what? I don't know if EA Sports is aware of this, but buying and selling has become a game in itself in Hockey Ultimate Team. I mean, there is a breed of player out there who doesn't ever play an actual game of Hockey Ultimate Team, but just plays the market, just goes in and buys a player low, sells them high, buys another player low, sells them high, and just constantly does this and never once plays a game. So just going into the future, I think that there is room to expand on Hockey Ultimate Team for this breed of player. I don't know how it can be done. I don't have any ideas right now, but I'm just saying that there is a new breed of player who just buys and sells, and I think that this could be capitalized on going forward. Now, a big change from NHL 12's Hockey Ultimate Team to NHL 13's Hockey Ultimate Team is retirements. They've taken retirements out for NHL 13, which was a great idea. Nobody liked retirements in NHL 12, okay? Basically, in NHL 12, the second you got a new card, if you played him once, he had only a certain amount of games that he could play. You played him once, and it was like a used car, okay? You drive him off the lot, and his value goes down. They've taken that out for NHL 13. Now, when you get a player, you can use him forever, and that is how it should be, okay? Brilliant idea for listening to the fans for that. But they took out player growth from last year, which nobody was complaining about in NHL 12. So they took a step forward, but then they also took a step back, and almost 2 steps back, because player growth was a huge part of Hockey Ultimate Team. That was the whole point. Do you guys remember the promotion videos for Hockey Ultimate Team for NHL 13? Build your game. This is your game. This is your team. Build whatever team you want. That doesn't apply for NHL 13 anymore, because if you want to build a team that's competitive, that is up there with the best teams in the game, then you just need to use the best players in the game. Now, with temporary growth, temporary player growth, a player after a certain amount of games will go back to their regular overall. And that's not Hockey Ultimate Team, in my opinion. I mean, if I want to make my Nazem Kadri 99 overall and have him as my first line center, I should be able to do that. That's my prerogative. That's me building my team. What you have now in Hockey Ultimate Team is an online versus all-star game, because everyone knows if I want to be competitive, if I want to have the best team, I need the best players. I need all the Crosbys, the Ovechkins, the Malkins, the legendary cards, the Star of the Week cards. That's losing what Hockey Ultimate Team used to be. Hockey Ultimate Team used to be a diverse league full of players that you've never seen before. You didn't know what to expect, and now that's lost. And to me, there's only one reason for this, that they took it out. To me, they took it out so that they can come up with mega pack deals and 99 overall Crosby cards, and that you would spend more Microsoft points on, okay? Player growth needs to come back, EA Sports. This is part of Hockey Ultimate Team. You tried to bring it back with the temporary training cards, telling us all that you know that you made a mistake, but that you're missing the whole point. Growth needs to be permanent. Again, if I want to grow a bunch of CHL players and use them because, hell, they're my brothers, or they're my friends in real life, or I know them for whatever reason, I should be able to do that. Again, this is our game, you said. This is not online versus all-star game. This is Hockey Ultimate Team. A few other things that tick me off about Hockey Ultimate Team would be the inability to edit your players' jersey numbers or players' equipment. I mean, if I have a player, I should be able to edit his helmet what skates he wears, his visor color. I should be able to edit that stuff. Another thing, wrong jersey numbers. I mean, there's players out there that have the wrong jerseys. One, Phil Kessel. I mean, the face of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Not a no-name player here. Phil Kessel. He's got the number 18 on his back. I mean, what the heck is that? Editing your jersey numbers. I mean, come on, that's basic stuff. Another thing, big missed opportunity with the arenas. I mean, when we get to choose your arenas in Hockey Ultimate Team, it's very basic. It's like 16,000 large arena or 12,000 medium arena. Why not have the Winter Classic as an arena? Why not have the Air Canada Centre or the Bell Centre? I mean, why not have the official arenas as arenas that you can use in Hockey Ultimate Team? Not just generic international ice or, again, the 16,000. I mean, use the arenas that you have in the game. The Winter Classic doesn't even get used anyways. Stuff like this, man. Another thing, the pucks that you get per win, it's an absolute joke, and I truly mean this, and I have video evidence to prove this. Usually when you get a win, well, for me anyways, I get 500 plus pucks per win, okay? Now, when they come out with a mega pack deal that's 50,000, that would take 100 games at getting 500 plus pucks per win. And the packs that you get in the mega pack deals are pretty much useless. I mean, again, I have video evidence for this. Ask any one of my subscribers. I have spent over 500,000 EA pucks, not Microsoft points, EA pucks. Just because of the situation that I'm in, I get a lot of pucks. I've spent over 500,000 EA pucks. What do you think the three best players that I've got out of those packs? Thomas Vokoun, Nathan Horton, and Dustin Brown. So 100 games to get those three players. They're almost egging you on to purchase these mega pack deals to get Crosby, to get Ovechkin, to get Malkin. It's almost impossible to get these stud players without spending Microsoft points, okay? All these things are big problems with Hockey Ultimate Team. The biggest problem with Hockey Ultimate Team, however, has to come from the greediness behind it. And I'll explain myself here, okay? So basically, the $60 player gets screwed over when it comes to Hockey Ultimate Team for NHL 13, okay? Now, here's an example. When I buy a first-person shooter, say Call of Duty or Halo, right? I spend $60 on it, I get it, and a few months down the line, they come out with a map pack. Guess what? I don't have to buy the map pack. I'm not at a disadvantage against others who buy the map pack, okay? I still get to play the game and enjoy the game. Call me old-fashioned. I've never spent more money on a game after I've already bought it. I firmly believe that when I buy a game, I should get everything that comes with the game. But the video game industry is growing. Map packs are part of it now. That's fine. But a map pack and what EA Sports is doing with Hockey Ultimate Team are two completely different things. First of all, with Hockey Ultimate Team, there is no cap to how much you can spend. If you want, you can spend $1,000 on NHL 13. You can spend $5,000 on NHL 13, okay? And with the target demographic of, I'd say, 17 and younger males, I mean, to me, that's just irresponsible. Second of all, you're screwing over the $60 player because the $60 player is going up against the $500 player, okay? It's not like a map pack where I don't have to deal with the people who spent the money, okay? They're just in their own map. I am going up against the guy who's playing his first game just like me, but he has Ovechkin, Malkin, Stamkos, Giroux, and on my first line I got Tim Connolly, freaking George Peros, and Curtis Glencross, and I can barely keep it together because I only spent $60 on the game. That's a problem, EA Sports. You have crossed a major line when you've done this because, again, the kids who only get one Christmas gift every year are getting screwed over, getting destroyed by the kids who have their mommy and daddy's Visa card at will, okay? And it's because you've allowed it. You have created a competitive environment and then told everyone in that environment, hey, if you want an edge in this competitive environment, give us money. Because we all know if you get 500 pucks per win, it's going to take you 1,000,000 games to get that Crosby, so just spend some more money and you can get those cards. That's a big freaking problem. You have crossed the line and that is unacceptable. Next on the list of game modes was the all-new NHL 13 Live Moments, which for the most part did its job. Very simple game mode, but also very welcome to the franchise. It's definitely not going to knock your socks off, but as an addition to the game, very fresh and very welcome once again. Basically, Live Moments, all it was challenge scenarios from the previous NHL season, but what they did also, which was great, was they updated it through the current NHL season, giving us new scenarios every week or so, so that was a great idea. There's also a very good variety of teams and different scenarios. You're going to be seeing every single NHL team out there. You You might be using some, you might be facing some. And also, after you complete a challenge, you get to show off for your friends, which is a nice little touch. Another good thing was you could restart any challenge from in the game while you're doing the challenge or after you failed it. You don't have to come back out to the menu system to restart it all up again, keeping the loading screens down, which is very nice. But some of the bad things for live moments is, the scenarios that take longer than 10 minutes, I just didn't find fun. I found myself looking at the clock a lot of the time, waiting for it to be done instead of being immersed in the experience. High challenge, low reward, especially the goaltender ones. When you got to play a goalie for 25 plus minutes, all right, you deal with no shot, and all of a sudden 17 minutes in, they come down, they score an easy goal. You really don't want to hit the rematch and start it again, you know what I mean? I also feel like there was a few missed opportunities. Every single challenge seems to be, tie the game up and win in overtime, or tie the game up before the end of regulation, or win in a shootout, right? Why not just have simpler scenarios, like win a fight against Chara with Nathan Gerby, and that's all you got to do, right? You just got to win the fight. Or how about have a shootout where you got to score on every shot, or a penalty shot save, something that just doesn't always end in win the game, you know what I mean? Or a 5-on-3 penalty kill. There's a lot of missed opportunities that I found there. And also, every single moment is a realistic moment. I think there's room for EA to, again, create some hypothetical moments, again, like the Nathan Gerby and Zdeno Chara fight you could have, all right? There's plenty of things that EA could make up for some challenging and some entertaining moments themselves, okay? So other than that, though, live moments, brilliant addition to the game. Next on the list is my favorite offline game mode, GM mode. I can't tell you how many hours I've logged since last September, whether it be playing for my YouTube channel or just playing personally, playing GM mode, okay? I mean, whether it be taking the reins of an older team trying to win that cup in the last few years, or just going for that rebuild, or taking a young team and trying to make them a dynasty, or taking a so-so team and making a blockbuster deal and setting them on the right track, I just can't get enough of GM mode. And I'm not even talking about playing the game. I'm talking about only simulation, okay? So when I'm talking about GM mode here, it's only about the simulating, not about the actual gameplay. So we're going to do this really informally. I'm just going to go over the good and the bad. This is going to be more of a rant just because I know what I'm talking about when it comes to GM mode, and I don't want to miss out anything, okay? So we'll start off with the good. When you're getting started, the starting customization, everything that you need is there. The length, the rosters, the salary cap, the waivers, everything that you need. Next up. Now, this is interesting. Simulation or arcade. We got to figure out whether or not GM mode is better off served as being a simulation or arcade. When it comes to trading is a little bit too easy. But however, that may be a good thing, right? Do we want a GM mode where it's freaking impossible to make trades? I don't know if that's fun, but you also do want a GM mode that has a little bit of strategic nature to it, not too easy to make trades, right? So in this GM mode, when you're trading for first round picks, it is way too easy. You can load up on 10, 15, 20 even first round picks in any year that you want, okay? And that's where it's a little bit too arcadey. But when you're then trying to trade for, say, a guy like Sidney Crosby, it's damn near impossible, which is more on the simulation end, okay? So again, I don't know what to make of this. We need to come up with what we'd rather prefer. But all I can say is the trading for GM mode, again, is way too inconsistent. First round draft picks, way too easy. Star players, way too hard. So we need to come to an even ground there, okay? The single game simulation is very good. I love the single game simulation. When you just click on a game, sim game, you can go through the periods, you can see all the penalties, the hits, the shots, the saves, the totals, just stat tracking is it's great. The single game simulation really does work, okay? Players' potentials and overalls are more predictable and consistent than in NHL 12, but again, this goes back to simulation and arcade. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? I find that in this game, when I'm playing GM mode, I never pick up a player who's less than 3.5 stars. Because I can see their potential, I just think to myself, well, I don't need him. He's a 3-star player. He's not going to be anything in 10 years. And that's kind of not realistic. You're kind of looking at those 7th round picks and saying, oh, there's nobody good in that. And it'd be kind of cool if you could find some gems and some diamonds in the later rounds, right? So again, it's easier than NHL 12 to find the players that you want, but I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You guys can make up your mind on that. The trading block. All right, whoever came up with the idea for the trading block in this game, bravo. Genius. This is what I've been waiting for the NHL game, okay? The new trading block feature is a freaking genius idea on finding whatever players that you want. If you want a center with a really good face-off rating, you can find it. If you want a defenseman who's a tough guy, you can find it. A goaltender who's really good at the 5-hole, you can find it. Everything and anything. There's only one thing that I wish that the trading block had when you're looking for players. When you type in your criteria and you hit the search, all the players that pop up on the screen, they all have the white names. All their names are in the white font, okay? I wish from this screen it showed me whether or not players or teams were willing to give up these players. So you'd see the players with the green names, or the players with the white names, the red names. You see those would pop up in this screen. That's the only thing I'd say for the trading block, is if in this screen right here, when I search the players, I wish that I could see which players were available to be traded. Because you have to still click on the player and see if the team is willing to give them up, which takes an extra step, okay? But other than that, freaking genius idea with the trading block. That made GM mode a lot better for myself and for everyone else, I guarantee ya. Next, free agency, way too easy. And the player really has no say in the matter. Now again, simulation or arcade. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, if ever there's a superstar in free agency, right, and if I have enough cap space, there will never be a time that he goes to another team. If I give him enough money, say he wants like 6.5, all I got to do is give him 7, and he will automatically pretty much jump on your team. If you give him around what he's asking, he may go to another team because he may get offered more. But if you give him enough money, he will always join your team. Now, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? Do we want free agents just to say, no, I don't want to go to Toronto because I hate that city? Well, that would suck for anyone who chose the Toronto Maple Leafs and wanted to sign that free agent, You just can't get it done. The Xbox 360 simulation is pretty quick, but the PS3 not so much. Now, when I say pretty quick, it's when you compare it to the PS3. I mean, it's doable. You can simulate a season within 20-30 minutes, so, it's okay. But when you compare it to, say, a game, MLB 2K14, where you have to simulate a 162-game season, I mean, look how fast this goes, okay? I mean, and it's tracking every single stat. I mean, so when I see it in one game, a 162-game season, and you can have it done in, like, 5 minutes, then you compare an 82-game season in this game that takes, 20 minutes, it's not... Again, it's not cutting edge, but it's not horrible. But I feel sorry for the PS3 users. I mean, look at this right here. On the left, you got the Xbox 360 simulation. On the right, you got the PS3 simulation. I mean, it's ridiculous. I get messages all the time saying the PS3 simulation is ridiculously slow. So that does need to be fixed on in the future, okay? And the new player role is also very welcome. I like seeing how players are top 4 defensemen, top 2 defensemen, because that gives you a better idea on where to put these players on the team. But I'd like to see a negative effect about this as well. Say you had a top 4 defenseman, right? And you put him on the top 6. I should get like an angry email from that player saying, hey, listen, I'm a top 4 defenseman. I want top 4 time. If not, I demand a trade. That would be cool to tie in with the new player roles. But until we get there, the player roles are definitely welcome. So now that we handled the good for GM mode, let's move on to the bad. Now remember, this is coming from someone who knows what they're talking about for GM mode, and also someone who wants GM mode to be the best that it possibly can be. I want to enjoy this going forward, okay? So everything that I say here is just coming from a place where I want it to be better. So first on the list, GM name meaningless. When you first start up GM mode, you could put a name in, but because that name never pops up in a message anywhere down the line, retirement-wise, when your owner gets in touch with you, it's completely meaningless and it doesn't need to be there. Next, too many long injuries and just too many injuries in general. It's not that there's too many injuries, it's just that every injury your players can't play through. I mean, look at the Stanley Cup Finals this year. Patrice Bergeron, how many injuries did that guy play through, okay? There should be an option where it's like you can sit the player or you can play him at a reduced rating. So during the regular season, you can give him some time off, but during the playoffs, if somebody's got, say, a bruised hip or a sore knee, they can still play through it, right? But that's why I turn injuries off in this game. It's just, they happen way too much, and they take you out of the fun of the simulating for GM mode, in my opinion. Stats, awards only track in the last 4 years, which really sucks for 25-year GM modes. I mean, when you go to the award screen, it only shows the last 4 years. Your stats, if you have a young rookie that you drafted, after 4 years, his stats get erased. There's one screen that shows your total, but it doesn't show every total. So, I mean, that's a big problem. I'd love to see all the stats for every year going through. If I do a 25-year GM mode, I want to see all the stats. I'd like to see a prospect pool shuffle option on before you start up your GM mode. Let me explain this. Imagine you play a lot of GM modes, so you always know the same prospects, I mean, you always know that McKinnon, Drouin, Seth Jones are at the top there. How about when I start up my GM mode, if I could click on a shuffle prospect pool, and that would completely randomize all the prospects that are there. You'd still get the same ones that are available, but now maybe Seth Jones would be a 2-star player who would never get good, and now you'd have a 2-star player who would be originally in the original roster only 2-star. Now he's a 4.5-star sniper, right? So you can just get some fresh faces in there. I'd like to see a prospect pool shuffle going forward. Retirements are completely crap in this game. They don't give you any warning that they're leaving your team. You don't know what's happening. I've had Dion Phaneuf at 34 years old, 87 overall or 86 overall retire. Joe Thornton at like 36 years old, at still 87 overall, first line center, retire with no warning. So retirements completely need to be overhauled. They could do them like they do in FIFA. FIFA, the player gets in touch. And speaking of FIFA, there's no player personality like there is in FIFA. I'd like to see morale for players. Again, coach, play me. I'm not scoring enough goals. It's just not working out for me here. I'd like to see a little bit more character in GM mode. The draft lottery is very confusing. If anyone doesn't know, there is a draft lottery in this game, but it doesn't actually have a screen that lets you know what's happening. Basically, all that happens is you come up to the draft day in the schedule, you click on it, and then all of a sudden it shows you the list of the draftees, and it's already done the draft lottery. So if you don't know there's a draft lottery in the NHL, if you're new to this game, and you think because, you tanked the season, right, you should have the first overall pick, and all of a sudden you're the second overall pick, and you don't know why, that's a problem. You should have the ability to change players' position and role. I had a player in my Washington GM mode commentary, Josh Morrissey. I drafted him as a defenseman. We switched him to a wing. He had a Art Ross winning season, but he still won the Norris because he's listed as a defenseman, but yet he played right wing the whole season. So you should be able to change the player's position and role throughout his career, right? Certain attributes never get better. See face-offs. Ability to export team for online friendlies. If I have a GM mode 10 years in, I'd like to be able to save that team and take them to an online unranked game and show my friends. The other sport games have that. I should be able to do that in this one. Coach hiring and firing. I'd love to have a coach in the game. Now, I know you probably can't get all the real coaches because of the rights, but why not just make up some fake coaches and put some fake attributes? Just add the ability to fire and hire coaches to help your team out. I think that would help a lot. Team standing history to show division titles, president's trophies, conference titles, and playoff games eliminated. I mean, look at the screen right here. If you had a full season of GM mode, that's what it looks like at the end, right? Kind of cool. But imagine if it looked like this, where it shows you, president's trophies in this year, division titles, games that you were in the playoffs for before you got eliminated. You got kicked out in the third round, but in 7 games. A lot more detail for this screen so that you could look at it and compare it with other, with your buddies' careers or your own careers and be like, oh, okay, I had 4 president's titles in this one, so that's why it's better. All you see is, again, playoff rounds, your points, and if you won a cup or not. I like to see, again, division titles, president's trophy, conference titles, and playoff game eliminated. The next game mode is the offline Be a Pro mode, and I don't need to spend too much time here. The offline Be a Pro mode at this point is laughable. I mean, just compared to FIFA 13 or Madden 13, or compare it to NBA 2K13. You'll truly see how laughable it is. At this point, it's definitely more than 5 years behind. No animations or immersiveness with your pro. All you get are emails from your coach or agent going across the screen as a text. At this point, again, it's pretty sad and pretty lazy. And it still comes down to games with the AI. This is just my opinion, but the gameplay with the AI is very slow. It goes back to what I was talking about before with the EA Sports Hockey IQ. Formations have been upgraded, yes, but they're all still very flat-footed. So speed to the outside, you can get that 2-on-1 or 2-on-0 every time. Backhand, forehand, goal, okay? So the offline Be a Pro mode is definitely something you could have skipped this year. And same goes for the Be a Legend mode, which is basically the same as Be a Pro mode. You're just using an NHL legend. But it's ridiculous that you have to unlock every single legend there. I mean, EA, you have way too much confidence in your offline game modes. People aren't going to spend time trying to unlock every single one of these legends. They should have been unlocked from day one. I mean, come on. People have absolutely no incentive to unlock these legends. All legends, they should be unlocked from day one, man. There's also the 3 basic game modes, playoff mode, season mode, and tournament mode, for anyone who doesn't want to go too into depth with the GM mode. If you just want your basic default setup to play with your buddy beside you on the Xbox, or just to set up by yourself and play against the computer, playoff mode provides you that Stanley Cup experience where you got to get through seeds. Season mode, again, just the one regular season. You don't have the draft or anything like that. And the tournament mode, if you want to set up something that resembles international gameplay, there you go. You can choose one of those 3 modes and set it all up yourself. Up next is the offline practice mode, and the practice mode really does leave you wanting more. There's 4 different options. First one would be free skate, which is solid, open ice, perfect for trying new things, like the new deeks, but I would like to see it more like arena mode in FIFA, where you can just go in and out seamlessly. Number 2 was the shooting drill, which is useless at this point. It's been the same shooting drill since the introduction of the skill stick in NHL 07, okay? You should be able to pick your shooting spot. You should be able to do a one-timer. You should be able to be moving. I mean, it just seems like so much is missed right here, and this doesn't help you at all in any form of the game, so why is it even in here? Skating drill, there's no reset button, so if you hit a pylon, you have to finish the drill before you reset. Kind of sucks. And team practice, there's no face-offs at all. Never. At all. You start it up and you're already in the rush. Your goalie gets it, he smothers it, you start a rush again. Just so much left out when compared to FIFA. It looks so lazy. I mean, FIFA, you can set up what players you want on the field. Offense, defense, corner kick, free kick, spot kick. You can do all these different scenarios. And when you compare that to this is nothing. You have nothing in this. So, practice mode, again, compare it to other games made by the same company. It's crap. The online shootout is a great example of a game mode that just works in NHL 13. Yes, it's been the same for the last few years now, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and the online shootout is perfect example of that. It's basic online mode with competitive leaderboards, and it works just fine. One thing that I'd say that the shootout could add would be a shootout timer in one of the top corners. Sometimes when you're coming down, you're doing a shot, you're taking your time, making it look all fancy smancy, and all of a sudden the referee blows the whistle, and you just took too much time. I don't know if it's 10 seconds, 15, 20 seconds, but to have a shootout timer in the top right, just so we can time it and finish our shot before the time runs out, that would be a welcome addition to the game. I would also like to see stats show up for each shooter and goalie. When you see a Pavel Datsyuk show up and it's doing the presentation, how about show his career shootout percentage, right? Or his stats for last year, his goals and assists. And last but not least, I really like how the shootout is just an extension of the actual game. It's just a breakaway. It's not some special script event with special controls and shootout only deeks, If you learn a move in a shootout, you can take that move and apply it in a game. Online OTP is a perfect example of an online game mode in NHL 13 that just does not work. This is supposed to be the place to get started, to learn the online Be a Pro game, to meet new people, to get a club started. However, the experience in these lobbies will put off a lot of new players especially because of the crap that just goes on. Not being able to find a full game, people quitting after one goal, deliberate offsides, goalies that skate around, deliberate minor penalty after penalty, and no one passing or playing their position with or without the puck just makes this gameplay experience unbearable. The ability to kick players mid-game must be implemented in some way if this is going to survive. And it's easy to do. All you have to do is have a criteria for a kick. If a player meets the criteria for that kick, his teammates can vote to kick him off, okay? And some of that criteria could be, say a player gets 3 minor penalties in a game. If they're legitimate penalties, your team's not going to kick you off. But if they're 3 interference penalties in the first period, get him out of there. If your goalie leaves a certain area, and if the goalie's going out there to play the puck like a good goalie, then no one's going to kick him out of there. But if the goalie's skating around like a goof, get him out of there, right? Going offside too much, you can vote to kick him out of there. Icings, get him out of there. If you have an F rating after the first period, all right, get him out of there. Plenty of ways that we could come up for players to meet criterias for then to have their teammates to be able to kick them out of there, okay? Because the online OTP lobbies right now, a big mess, and this needs to be fixed. Up next is my favorite online game mode, ESHL, EA Sports Hockey League. And this is what the OTP lobbies are meant to be like, okay? This is what happens when you get players who honestly want to play the game, not just mess around, getting on each other's teams and competing against each other. I will say this right now, and I truly believe it. I have had no better competitive experience in a video game than 6v6 NHL 13 ESHL, okay? I love it. It's the greatest online experience I've had competitively, okay? So I will stand by ESHL in this game. There are some good things, there are some bad things, but it still remains the best online experience when played right. And that's the difference between club and the OTP lobbies. Club, people play it right. OTP lobbies, people don't play it right. When played right, it's outstanding. The addition to make captains and alternates is very nice. It's not mind-blowing, it should have been here by now, but to see the C or the A on your jerseys is quite nice. Customization is nice for newer players, but older players like myself, we've seen the same thing now for a few years. Going back to even NHL 09, there's a lot of things that are still in there, and a lot of things that haven't been added to, okay? But again, I'm a gameplay first, presentation second kind of guy, so I can live with that. And the progression to a Legend 3 does provide a good goal to reach, but it does need to be changed, just because people are taking advantage of the way to get to Legend 3 now. The way they have it set up, people can manipulate the system by simply going into a game and backing out after a certain amount of time has gone by, and you still get credit for playing that entire game. So you get people who back out of like 125 games after how many minutes, and then play solid for the last 25 games to get their F back up to an A- so that they can get their Legend 1, okay? I do like how we have to progress to a Legend 3 to get this stats, but I don't like how people can manipulate the system, so that's how it needs to be changed, okay? And now, for the bad for ESHL. There's good, but there is bad. Practice, just like the offline practice, the online practice for ESHL is an absolute joke, and it has to be a lot more featured. I mean, I could come up with a million different things that we could put in for the practice mode. I mean, you can't get a face-off going. If you want to get an offensive face-off going in ESHL, for example, what do you have to do? Can you set up an offensive zone face-off on the right circle, the left circle? No. What you have to do is take a shot on the goalie, make sure it's on the side that you want the face-off, and get him to smother it. That way you can get the face-off. It shouldn't happen like that. When I'm thinking practice mode, I'm thinking I should be able to draw things on the ice and arrows and press pause and tell people what to do, right? The online practice mode is basically a game with nobody in the stands, with no rules, and you have to go 3 periods. That's all it is, okay? It needs to be a lot more featured. Another bad thing, ESHL team screeners. The way that the search is set up right now, it's very easy to press pause, take a look at the team that you're up against. If you don't like what you see, you can back out, so that needs to be changed. There's no playoff win celebration, which is kind of anticlimactic, you know? You work so hard to try and make those, to win those playoffs, you finally win it, you win game 4, and then your guys just celebrate like they've won a preseason game. It's kind of anticlimactic. Again, I'm a gameplay first, presentation second, but I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, oh man, I want to see the cup. Put the Stanley Cup celebration in there, you know? Just have something special. In my opinion, the only playable games for ESHL are 6v6 or 5v5 with a goalie or 4v4 with a goalie. They're the only fun games because of unbalanced goaltending AI and questionable defensive AI. I mean, you'll have cross-creasers being saved like crazy, goalies diving left, goalies diving right, and then you'll have floaters from the point that go in. So, you know, when you play 2v2 or 3v3, you feel like the computers are dictating the game more than you are winning or getting beat. So that's why it's got to be 6v6, 5v5, or 4v4 with a goalie if you're going to truly enjoy ESHL. Pauses are ridiculous. Each team should only get one pause, which would simulate their one timeout. I'm not talking about the OTP lobbies. I'm talking about club lobbies. I hate the fact that you can pause it during a game, okay? Think about it. There's 12 people sitting around all North America, maybe even some people in Europe, all playing one game. And then all of a sudden, I get a text message, and I think, oh, you know what? I'm going to press pause here, and oh yeah, I'm going to answer this guy's text right now. And I'm making the other 11 people around the globe wait for my personal priority. If you start up a game, you should know that the next 20 to 25 minutes, I have to focus on this right now. I can't get up to use the washroom. I can't get up to get a drink. I can't use the phone. I can't smoke a cigarette. You know what I mean? It should be like Call of Duty or Halo. Once you start, you start. There's no stopping. There's no pausing and stopping everyone else from playing. This is Bush League stuff right here. In-game cutscenes are absolutely useless and not needed. They have a place in Hockey Ultimate Team. They have a place in Versus. They have a place in the offline game modes because it's only one or two people and you're controlling the replays. It's very easy. But when it's an ESHL or OTP and it's 6v6 and you have to wait for 12 people to press A and nowhere on your screen do you have press A to skip, so you're literally waiting, watching loading screens. They might as well be loading screens because you don't see anything amazing in the cutscenes. You don't see full replays, and a lot of the time I get a camera that's just doing a rotation around an open ice like this. A lot of the time, this needs to go. These in-game cutscenes are absolutely useless for ESHL, and they actually take away from the gameplay experience, and they add time onto the club games, okay? I mean, if a club game takes 25 minutes, you're probably only playing gameplay for like 18, 19, 20 minutes. Another 5 minutes is just you waiting in the pause menus, other people pressing pause, 30 seconds between periods, no one pressing A. And this is a problem because in a competitive environment with leaderboards, no one likes to lag out, and the longer the game goes, the more chances that people are going to lag out and get a loss on their record, get an F. So the shorter the game, the less likely you're going to have other people lagging out. So you'd help other people by taking out these damn cutscenes. No one likes them, no one needs them, and they just add more time onto the game. Get them out of ESHL. I'm truly serious about that. The cutscenes are absolutely ridiculous. Leaderboards don't mean anything because of the search. You can screen for players, so the online leaderboards, you can look at them in the top 10 guys. You know that they're not top 10 guys. Game face, I mean, geez, I can remember NHL 2000 putting my game face in the game. Look at this screenshot right here. Here you go. This is the year 2013. We still don't have our game face in the game. It's atrocious. I can remember FIFA 10 having my game face in the game for the online Be a Pro or whatever it's called, okay? So it's possible. It's attainable. Give us the game face. Come on now. Last but not least is the core gameplay of NHL 13. How does the game perform when you're actually playing it out there, offline and online? And you guys have already heard me talk about 6v6. I love 6v6 ESHL. It can even be 6v6 OTP if everyone out there knows what they're doing. When you have 12 players who are all playing to win, to play their positions, the experience is second to none. I love this game. But the problem is that when you bring in computer AI to the equation, the game starts to fall back down to earth and becomes even unbearable to play, in my opinion. The new skating engine is definitely a step in the right direction. Leaps and bounds better than NHL 12. There may be some people that disagree with me about that because it was definitely a learning curve to get used to, but it definitely does provide a new layer of creativity for you to exploit. Once you get used to it, you're going to be loving the new skating engine. I guarantee you that. The new goalie animations for NHL 13, definitely nice. I like the new glove saves, but desperation should be desperation, not a legitimate technique. And it feels like in NHL 13, desperation saves are made like 2, 3, 4 times a game. And I think it goes back to what I showed you guys about the EA Sports Hockey IQ. The computers are very easily beat to the outside, which opens up that cross crease. If you're going to have a cross crease happening 3-4 times a period, you need crazy goalies that can make up for that lack of defensive skill. So, the goalie animations, they're nice. They're definitely the best goaltenders we've ever seen, the hardest goaltenders to score on, but I don't think that's a good thing, especially when they're unrealistically bending limbs like crazy to make saves, and then when you see flimsy goals that go in from the point, it's just too inconsistent, and it takes you out of that gameplay experience. The stick chops are a fantastic new addition to the game. Whoever came up with the idea for the stick chop, bravo! Oh my god, this is something that I wasn't even thinking of in NHL 12. I never even thought, what a stick chop could do for the game, and it's brilliant. It works, okay? Sure, it could be modified a little bit just to work a little bit better, especially around the boards, but that doesn't matter. The fact is, it's a great idea that's been put into the game. It works, and hopefully it's a tool that we can use and stays in the game going forward. So great job on the stick chops, okay? Penalties are far too inconsistent in this game, especially in the ESHL. I mean, late hits, you can hit somebody like 5 seconds after they've already released the puck. No penalty. Charging, no penalty. Checking from behind, no penalty, okay? And just a half trip sometimes, way too inconsistent for the penalties. I also feel that there should be a trap button for interceptions. A lot of people would complain that when you're trying to intercept passes, you know, you don't know what to do. You don't know if you want to hold down the LB, which I never do. You don't know if you want to hold down vision and just be in the lane, or you don't know if you want to poke check it. And that seems to be what a lot of people did in this game for NHL 13. The poke check was like the all-go defensive move. I mean, look at this video clip right here. This guy is doing nothing but just tapping down R1, RB in that area where he thinks the puck is going. That's not defense, you know? So a puck trap button would be better because you'd have the poke check, and then you'd have, if you see a puck coming through your legs or around you, you could push a button and your guy tries to grab it. And, you know, you have an attribute bar. The higher your puck trap button is, the easier it is for you to get. But I don't think you should be able to intercept passes with the poke check. That shouldn't be the go-to move for that. And defensively for NHL 13, there's nothing that the poke check can't handle, okay? Goalies also need to be able to move the puck a lot quicker. When a goalie skates out to get the loose puck, he wastes like a second or two trying to take the puck from his backhand to his forehand. I'd like to see a goalie just be able to go up and slap the puck one time and off the boards. Before he even gets there, he just swings up on it, all right? Because a lot of time where you go up, you think you have enough time, you should have enough time, but the animation that it takes for you to corral the puck and get it, now you've lost space and someone's coming in and they're poking the puck off you already. So I'd like to see the goalie be able to move the puck a lot quicker. Body checking from behind on a breakaway is ridiculous. When I have players like Milan Lucic getting clobbered by John Michael Lyles on a breakaway, that needs to go. Balance from behind needs to be something, okay? Handling loose pucks, especially around the boards, it's very tough, and this is where I'm saying the trap button would be a lot easier for interceptions, but handling loose pucks just needs to be upgraded in general for every situation. The problem with NHL 13 is that there's so many little bugs and glitches that just scream out that the game was rushed, you know, that there was corners that were cut. Just glitches that don't need to be in there, and some of them could be like, you know, when a computer defenseman gets out of the penalty box, he's as the right winger, but he wants to get off, but there's no line changes in ESHL, so he's just stuck at the lines, going back and forth, stuck there. That's a stupid little glitch. I mean, in retirements for GM mode, it goes in alphabetical order, except for the Winnipeg Jets, who are at the top. Why are they at the top? Because they used to be the Atlanta Thrashers. Nothing has changed there. That's a stupid little glitch. Hockey Ultimate Team, I ask to dismiss and never show again. It still shows again. That's a stupid little glitch. Goalies with no helmets and on lines. That's a annoying glitch. Cutscenes with players wearing other teams' equipment. ESHL practice mode. The last guy lags out. And I mean, if you take a penalty shot on an empty net, all right, your Xbox literally freezes. I tried this out like 3 or 4 times. Every single time my Xbox froze. Little things like this, and there's so many more. I'm not even going to list them all, but like little things like this added in with Hockey Ultimate Team screwing over the $60 player, added in with Be a Pro mode being 5 years behind, you know. I mean, this takes away from the good that it comes from NHL 13, and that's why I can't really give this game a full overall rating. I mean, this is a review, and usually with reviews you get a 10 out of 10 or a 2 out of 10, but how can I with this game? It's all over the place. I mean, 6v6 ESHL, I can easily get a 9.9 out of 10 for me, alright? Near perfect. It can always get better, but still, near perfect game mode, okay? And then you take a look at Hockey Ultimate Team, and to me, that gets a 1 out of 10. Just because of the sheer greed and the fact that the $60 player gets screwed over. So I can't give NHL 13 an overall review out of 10, but I can sum it up in one word, and that word would be inconsistent. NHL 13 is inconsistent. On the one side, you have the best of the best on what sport games of today can offer you in the game modes that I've already listed for you guys. 6v6 ESHL, online shootout, offline GM mode, okay? If you stick to these game modes, you will have tons of fun. But then you also have the other side of it. Crappy AI, rush to scheduling, all these bugs and glitches, and also just asking for money at the expense of your gameplay experience. So that's about it. That's all I can sum up NHL 13. On one side, it's amazing, but on the other side, it makes me not want to buy the next edition. But as a die-hard fan that I am, you know I'll be getting the next edition. I've enjoyed thoroughly the last 14 editions of the NHL franchise, and I hope to enjoy the next 14 editions. And that's basically where this review comes from. I'm a die-hard fan who wants this game to be the best that it possibly can be, because I'm going to be spending money over the next however many years that I'm on this planet playing this game, okay? So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed my full review for Johnny Superbman and the great Domski from 2BC Productions 2BC. Take it easy, boys, and we'll see you next time.